Good evening, and welcome back to the 48 Laws of Power discussion series, New York Times best-selling book by author Robert Greene. This evening I am joined by OG outsider and great friend on this uh, International MGTOW Day. Good evening, Cat Ninja.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good night,
Good
anything.
morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it is
Good morning,
Thursday.
retard. Oh, can I even say that on this platform? I
Mm,
noticed something. I noticed how quiet my chat is without Cat Ninja the Hype Man to do all the chat hyping.
I'm not
Literally,
there, I'm here.
chat is dead.
Ah, wait.
Hello, small mouse. Oh, wow.
Oh,
It's Mr. Malloy. I haven't
welcome.
seen Mr.
Hello.
Malloy in quite some time.
Hello, Mr.
Hmm.
Malloy, Governor. Governor Malloy, if you will.
Yep, Becky is
You may
back.
not know that.
Baki.
Hello, Becky.
Ah. Oh,
Hello,
Bijou
Becky.
in the mix.
Bee.
I don't even have my Rumble stream open to see, like, if we have any people over there. It looks like only one watching on Rumble so far, but I'm sure that'll change.
Yeah.
Uh, Kitty, Malloy wanted to hear Kitty Cat Ninja's American voice. That's.
I'm not sure there is one of those. Or maybe. But,
Hmm.
nope.
Fish Nerd, good
Echo
evening.
Gamer.
Cool
Echo Gamer.
Gamer,
Fish
yep,
Nerd.
in the mix. I'm sure at
Dialing
some
in now.
point. I'm sure
Oh
at
no.
some.
Don't you start.
uh,
Um,
uh, I said I was just gonna say I'm sure at some point we'll see T3 come in and drop a like and then run off to winning. She's probably already over there, but well, tonight, uh,
let me.
this isn't an interview. We're gonna be covering the 46th law of power, but I don't think this is her first stream with me, at least. It's definitely not. Mm.
Quiet.
That sounds like you, small mouse. Oh boy. Just when I thought my chat was gonna be just more relaxed and regular today, uh, it
No.
actually does fit right in with the law we're doing tonight, which is Law 46. Never appear too perfect, which I thought
Mm.
chat was gonna be, but apparently we're gonna do snails and keeping secrets. Because Malloy says don't tell caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
don't
know,
know
you
what you're
know.
not supposed to tell her, but if you know, you know. You hear this? This is an invite from a legend. Cat Ninja, please come on my panel sometime. Malloy has
Mhm.
invited you. That's an official invitation. So you
Yep.
better you better
uh,
keep that in
mm,
mind.
It's in mind.
Hmm.
Pre-approved, apparently.
I mean, Malloy doesn't just invite anybody on his panel,
I'm aware
but
of this. I know. It's a great
so
honour. The
yes, it is a
invitation.
great honor. I have had that great honor myself, and Malloy
I
is a
know.
blast to hang out with,
Mm.
es- especially when his chat is out of control.
Mm. Which it often is.
Ugh.
It's not always.
Well,
Well, maybe
hopefully,
that's just
since
when
you're
I'm
up
there.
here, I'll let Cat Ninja get through this stream first. Uh,
Yeah.
hello, Texas Jen.
Hey, Texas Jim.
Good to see
Good to
you.
see you.
No, I don't have a British echo. Oh, it would have been so funny if you'd just done
Echo,
it
echo.
anyway. Uh, well, I'll tell you this: she's no Princess Diana, but she's our Cat Ninja, and
Mm,
we love her. So, uh,
yeah.
so Law
Mm.
46. Prejudgment. Never appear too perfect. Thoughts, Cat Ninja.
Mm. Yeah, it's a problem, isn't it? Appearing too perfect. I would imagine. I don't know. Not
Why
to
would you
overtalk.
imagine it's a problem?
Mm. Well, then you have the expectation of perfection to keep up to, I suppose. There's that. And then there's the jealousy of people that don't have what you have or appear to have or purport to have, maybe. Don't know. You? What
I
do you
actually
think?
had a different thought, but I like your first thought about having you set a unreasonably high expectation,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then you have to constantly maintain that. I actually
Mm.
had a different thought because you familiar with the phrase if it sounds too good to be true,
Mm-hmm.
it
Exactly.
probably is.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the
Exactly.
big issues with appearing too perfect is specifically that when someone appears too perfect, like when I see somebody and I have a perfect example right now because it's all over my Twitter feed. It's that damn singing woman, you know the one,
Mm-hmm.
with a perfect Super Bowl winning boyfriend and
Oh
the
no.
perfect little life.
I try
And
not to
I'm
know the one.
it's abhorrent, isn't it? Like, and
It
anytime you see
really is.
somebody who
It
like
really is. Very off
see like
putting.
it's actually off putting when it seems
Mm-hmm.
fake. Like
It
those
is.
media people on
It's got
TV with the perfect hair that do like the news and
mm-hmm.
stuff, they all
Yeah.
seem like they're artificial.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what I think why you would never want to appear too perfect. But
Yeah. That's the
go Hagen, good
maintain.
evening, my dude.
Hey. 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 Good to
Let's
see
do a
ya.
little head count here. Oh wow, we've got a numbers problem here, I think, guys. I've got 3 watching on the Zitter X platform. Shout out to my Twitter users. 10 on YouTube, only 6 on the Rumble side. Where are my Rumble people at tonight? That is what I'm
Well,
wondering.
one of them's here.
Yeah, that's true. One of them is here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is currently hanging out on the panel. So, I guess for all the ones who are here, I mean, do this. Do the likes. Do them on
Do the thing.
X. Do them on Rumble. Do them on YouTube. Throw up the likes. Yeah, just wait till next week when you have to come or till Friday, uh, when you have to come up on panel, Bijou,
Mm-hmm.
and Cat Ninja gets to patrol the Rumble chat
Yeah.
all by her lonesome.
Yeah. Think
Well,
about that, too.
yeah, yeah, Rumble chat, like leave Bijou all by herself. What's wrong with you,
Yeah.
Rumble chat?
Where am I?
Anywho,
Yeah.
let me get into this judgment, shall we?
Did it.
Hopefully, some people will show up to hang out with Bijou. Like at least Castro will
Mm.
show up at some point, and adequate alcohol and Probably the frog. Judgment. Appearing better than others is always dangerous. Not sometimes, always. But most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Envy creates silent enemies. That was your second point, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah.
It is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. Only gods and the dead can seem perfect with impunity. And as far as I'm concerned, the only one that's perfect is Lord Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, and the squab.
Nobody's
That's not a
perfect.
frog, that's a squab. And then there's
Mm.
Lady Autumn Sky over on Rumble. At least
Hey.
there is some people filing in. Good to see you both,
Hey. Good to
my
see
dear
you again, Mr.
Autumn Scott, my dear lady, and
Yeah.
my brother Squab, not Frog.
Squab. Squab.
uh, ha, Go
Mm.
Hagen makes a good point. There's no need to rub it in when you're doing the better. Wait, did I
Mm.
miss Firsty? Because I see this hello, but I don't see first one shot in the chat at all. So yeah, we pretty much hit everything about why this is a bad idea to appear. But apparently, the focus here is going to be on the jealousy, that infallibility. And you see this a lot with people who like do influencer shit on the Instagram specifically. They post like all the
Mm.
pictures of the like best parts of their lives, and then they give
Yep.
you this image that like they live such a perfect life. In reality, they're like some of the most broken people in the
Exactly. Yeah.
world
Mhm. They're
because
just a
everything they
facade.
do is a lie. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anywho, transgression of the law. Joe Orton met Kenneth Hallowell at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, London,
Oh,
in
okay.
1953,
Oh.
where both had enrolled as acting students.
Mm.
They soon became lovers. Oh my God, Joe and Ken. Gay! And moved in together. Hallowell, 25 at
Mhm.
the time, was 7 years older than Orton, who was 18, because that's math, and
Mhm.
seemed the more confident of the two. But neither had much talent as actors. And after graduating, having settled down together in a dank London apartment,
Mhm.
they decided to give up acting and collaborate as writers instead.
I
Hallowell's
smell that.
inheritance.
Sorry.
Yes?
Nothing. Sorry. I just said I smell that. The damp. No. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
yeah, don't
Sorry to
sniff the
interrupt.
dank basement
No.
apartment, please.
With the
I don't need anybody throwing up
gay.
on the
Yeah.
stream with a gay. Yeah. That's probably why it was dank, is because of all the butt sex that was happening in it.
Probably. I don't doubt it. Sounds.
Hallowell.
Sorry. Go. Carry on.
Hallowell's inheritance was enough to keep them from having to find work for a few years, and in the beginning, he was also the driving force behind the stories and novels they wrote. He would dictate to Orton, who would type the manuscripts, occasionally interjecting his own lines and ideas. Their first efforts attracted some interest from literary agents, but it sputtered. The promise they had shown was leading nowhere. Well, first off, I don't see them having actually shown any pro- promise other than like having ambitions and no talent as actors. But just because they're gay doesn't mean that they have promise.
Mhm. It's true. We could ask Kevin Spacey. He knows about London theatrical scene.
Yeah, he also doesn't appear too perfect either.
Mm, he does
If
not.
you know, you know. But yeah, like I don't. This first part, there must be more to this story because I'm not getting a lot of perfection out of these two clowns, other
No.
than they're gay and English, which is two strikes against them already.
Mhm.
Eventually, the inheritance money ran out, and the pair had to look for work. Oh, welcome to reality, jackass! Their collaborations were less enthusiastic and less frequent. What is this a transgression? Yeah, of course it is. The future looked bleak. In 1957, Orton began to write on his own, but it wasn't until 5 years later when the lovers were jailed for 6 months for defacing dozens of library books. Okay, so they're not only gay, they're leftists, artists,
Mhm.
and they're assholes.
Yeah,
That he
they're
began
really
to
going for
find
the
his voice. Yeah, they're. I'm trying to figure out how these
non-perfection.
two ever fucking end up appearing too perfect because they sound like some. Ooh, what? Wow. Thank you, Texas Jen. That doesn't appear in the StreamYard API. It appears like I can see it in the chat, but I can't bring it up. I don't have that ability.
Mm,
But Texas Jen for five American
nice.
dollars, they're Texas dollars, so they're actually worth even more than the rest of America's money because Texas doesn't have a state income tax. So it's just because I never have with a laughing face. Uh, I don't know how to. It sucks that I can't bring up the super chat. We're working on fixing this, but thank you, Texas Jen.
Yeah, nice.
That's my second super chat in the ever. Mousy was my first.
Yeah, I know. I was there. Remember?
Wow, I'm actually becoming somebody now.
Mhm. To those numbers.
My chat's the best, just in case anybody was wondering, like, if there is a better chat out there, there's not. Oh,
Mhm.
shit. Cheers. It's the perfect time
Oh,
to
cheers.
cut right here
Cheers.
and celebrate
Cheers.
the Texas Jud. Oh, yeah, and since my audience is primarily women, happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy
That's just
Valentine's Day,
the
everyone.
only time I'm gonna say it. I don't celebrate this holiday.
Mhm.
That is a fact. But now everybody like if people keep like supporting the Rumble side financially, I'm gonna have to set up payment options because so far I don't have enough money to cash out yet. But if it keeps coming in based on that and what I'm doing in rad revenue, yeah, ad revenue, I'm gonna probably have to yeah, figure a way to get the money from it. You're adorable. Oh no, you're definitely not. And if you are burning, you're amongst many friends here. Like I tend to attract a bunch of stony philosopher types. Except for Squab, he's just philosophical and not really so much stony. but a lot of people in here do smoke or eat edibles or something. Anyway, welcome to
Mm.
the party. Ah. In 1957, Orton began to write on his own, but it wasn't until 5 years later, when the lovers were in jail for 6 months for defacing dozens of library books, that he began to find his voice. Perhaps not by chance. This was the first time he and Hallowell had been separated in 9 years. Hmm. He
Mm.
came out of prison. Oh, come on now. Let's not pretend that jailed for 6 months is prison. It's a minor imprisonment in a local jail. Determined
I
to express his. Hold on. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say that might be a little bit different in London.
Oh, yeah, I doubt it. But anyway, I mean, this is the 50s. It's not like this was ancient times. Determined to express his contempt for English society in the form of theatrical farces. I mean, I express my contempt for English society by continuously referencing the fact that my country fought a whole ass war because fuck those people. That's why. We're not paying you no more money, King George, and go fuck yourself. That happened. I mean, oh, and we won too, by the way. Like,
Really? You
most
haven't mentioned it.
most powerful navy in the world and everything, but no offense to your lineage and your heritage.
No, none taken. Don't blame you. What are you going to say?
He and Hallowell moved back in together, but now the roles were reversed. Orton did the writing while Hallowell put in comments and ideas. In 1964, so you see the dynamic shifting here, right? Like,
Mm.
the whole time they were together for 9 years, like, it was the other way around. They get locked up and separated, and this dude's like, oh, by the way, like, this
Yeah.
has been being suppressed. Ah, I mean, as long as you know you're an outlaw and not a criminal, because it's not a criminal act. Decriminalize it, legalize it. I mean, where I live, it's legal now, so it bees what it bees.
Mm.
Anyway, let's find out where they go
Mm.
because
Let's
I'm
do.
not impressed so far.
Edge of my seat. Come on.
In
Where are they? I,
1964, Joe Orton completed his first full length play, Entertaining Mr. Sloane. The play made it to London's West End, where it received brilliant reviews. A great new writer had emerged from nowhere. They say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, just
overnight
saying.
success. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now success followed success at a dizzying pace. He went viral before going viral was a thing. In 1966, Orton had a hit with his play Loot, and his popularity soared. Soon, commissions came in from all sides, including from the Beatles, who paid Orton handsomely to write them a film script. No, I'm sorry, I've seen the Beatles. There's no fucking way those four ugly mugs could pay anyone
Oh.
handsomely. Oh, I said it. You're
No.
all ugly. Every single one of you. Especially the one whose name I can never remember. Ringo Starr. You thought I was going to say George Harrison, didn't you?
No, because you know I'd have slapped you if you said that.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
But Ringo Starr was really ugly, dude. Like,
I don't think anyone's
goofy
arguing
looking
there.
son of a bitch.
Even him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at this. Like,
He played
this
on it.
is
Have you heard him sing?
no, and I don't think I ever want to.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
In 2 years, they went from being like in jail to being like, because once the commissions start coming, that's where the real money comes from. Is
Mm.
selling your own original ideas. That's one thing, but if you can get someone to pay you to make their ideas come true,
Yeah.
they're gonna pay you more. You're
And if
gonna
you're
get
hitting
more.
the Beatles in the 60s, I
Mhm.
mean,
At the pinnacle of Beatles popularity.
and I might add 1966, the year
Mhm.
England won the World Cup. You know,
That's not a real thing in real life.
yeah,
Anyway,
because they beat Germany. No, okay.
anyway, it's not
Mm-hmm.
relevant to the
Mm-hmm.
story. Damn it!
Yep. We wouldn't want to
Everything
be
was
too
pointing
perfect.
upwards. What?
We wouldn't want it to be too perfect. No, it sounds like
Mm,
a perfect storm for the 60s for their success, though, to
well,
be
we're
honest.
gonna see where this
Mm,
goes.
mm,
Hmm.
go on.
Wait a minute. I'm fairly certain Biju is arguing.
You she dance like a bee G.
Everything was pointing upwards. Everything except Orton's relationship with his gay boyfriend, Kenneth Hallowell. The pair still lived together, but as Orton grew successful, Hallowell began to deteriorate. Watching his lover become the center of attention, he suffered the humiliation of becoming a kind of personal assistant to the playwright.
Mm,
His role in what had once been a collaboration growing smaller and smaller. Well, first of all, buddy, you used to have like the primary role of being the basically creator and you dictated to him and you suck. So maybe how about be a little bit more like happy for someone you claim to love and
mm,
do the job you need to do because it was all super all right with you when it was the roles were reversed.
yeah, be
In the
supportive,
19th,
hey.
what
I said be supportive, hey.
you think?
Go on.
Good idea.
Well,
I
mm,
mean, to be feeling humiliated by it, like,
mm,
so you're not that good. Big deal. So your input is worthless. Get another hobby, like find something you are good at and do that. Uh, oh, this is why he really felt humiliated. In the 1950s, he had supported Orton with his inheritance. Now Orton supported him. He got it. He got his masculinity took by
mm,
being the important one with the money, and now you don't have the money, and now your
yeah.
manhood, your masculinity has been snatched.
Questioned, yeah.
Hmm.
Or snatched. Or both.
I mean that one's
Mm,
at a party or among friends, people would naturally gravitate towards Orton. He was charming, and his mood was almost always buoyant. Unlike the handsome Orton, Hallowell was bald and awkward. His defensiveness made people want to avoid him. Oh boy, I see what's building here now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Imagine, because he's the older
Mm.
of the two, Hallowell is. He's 7 years the elder of Orton, and now they're in their, like, he's in his mid 30s, maybe even getting close to 40, and Orton's still in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. And he's the extroverted, he's the talented, he's the
Mhm.
probably more intelligent one. Like, and the more and more this goes on, like being bald and awkward, not a good start, and being introverted and unpersonable, like,
Yeah.
it's very off-putting, like, to most people. It's I'm
Not a
trying to
good
think
look.
of a
Yeah.
trying to think of a really good example, and I know there are a lot of them where you think about, like, power couple, so to speak, like any two people that have influence that are generally paired together. I'm trying to think of a good one where one person was super personable and the other is just like, uh well, I'd like to say they were the brains behind it, but the truth is, like, I don't know why they're here.
Mm.
I can't think of any right now, which is
No, I can't.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because usually I'll have a good example for this, but
I'll leave it in the comments afterwards.
yeah, well, if I think of one, I'll leave myself a comment so I can remember, because it'll come to me and I'll
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, that would have been so great to remember
That's
that."
a challenge. I'll try and think of one as well, and that's a challenge for everyone. Just
Let's see how long this
comment.
inserted thing
Yeah.
here is. Oh, it's a Jewish parable. Oh boy,
Mm.
a greedy man and an envious man met a king. The king said to them, "One of you may ask something of me, and I will give it to him, provided I give twice as much to the other." The envious person did not want to ask first, for he was envious of his companion, who would receive twice as much. And the greedy man did not want to ask first, since he wanted everything that was to be had. Finally, the greedy one pressed the envious one to be the first to make the request. So the envious person asked the king to pluck out one of his eyes. Ooh,
Ooh, ooh. That's a bit harsh.
the
But
seven deadly
mm-hmm.
sins. Mm.
Mm.
I mean, the greedy one got what he wanted. He got everything. Like, yeah, he got one of his eyes plucked out. The envious guy, and the other guy got double.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's unfortunate.
Mm. Sure
An
is.
admirer, what,
Oop,
what,
nothing.
what?
Nothing. I said I was just agreeing. Saying sure is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry. Carry
an
on.
admirer who feels that he cannot be happy by surrendering himself elects to become envious of that which he admires. So he speaks another language. The thing which he really admires is called a stupid, insipid, and queer sort of thing. Admiration is happy self surrender. Envy is unhappy self assertion. Soren Kierkegaard. I like that actually a lot.
Mm. Yeah. That's very wise.
I have fallen into this trap before where the thing that you envy becomes like the thing you despise and abhor.
Mm.
And one of the other laws tells you to do just that too. Oh no, wait, it's to despise the free lunch,
Yeah.
not the thing you admire or envy. But yeah, this is actually,
Mm.
I mean, you can admire something and you can even desire it without letting it consume and destroy you. Sup, Castro?
Hey, Jacob.
Oh boy. With Orton's success, back to these two again, the couple's problems only worsened. Hallowell's moods made their life together impossible. Orton claimed to want to leave him and had numerous affairs, but would always end up returning to his old friend and lover. He tried to help Hallowell launch a career as an artist, even arranging for a gallery to show his work. But the show was a flop, and this only heightened Hallowell's sense of inferiority. In May of 1967, the pair went on a brief holiday trip together in Tangier, Morocco. Please tell me you drowned this miserable shit in the ocean on the way there. During the trip, Orton wrote in his diary, I finally drowned the son of a bitch in the ocean on the way to Morocco. No, wait, that's not what he said. Sorry,
Oh.
guys. We sat talking of how happy we felt and how it couldn't surely last. We'd have to pay for it, or we'd be struck down from afar by disaster because we were, perhaps, too happy to be young, good looking, healthy, famous, comparatively rich, and happy is surely going against nature. It sounds like this is only the case for one of you guys. It doesn't really sound like this is the case for the both of yous. Hallowell outwardly seemed as happy as Orton. Inwardly, though, he was seething. I know, dude. Just get into death metal. This is the 60s before like actual death metal was even a thing. But you can take all that rage and like turn it into something that everybody will probably hate at that period in history, which will be par for everything else you've ever done. Okay, back to the seething Hallowell. And 2 months later, in the early morning of August 10th, 1967, just days after helping Orton put the finishing touches to the wicked farce What the Butler Saw, undoubtedly his masterpiece, Kenneth Hallowell bludgeoned Joe Orton to death with repeated blows of a hammer to the head. Then he took 21 sleeping pills and died himself, leaving behind a note that read, if you read Orton's diary, all will be explained.
Oh, well.
Man, you should have done just left this bad juju behind and get yourself some good juju like you got juju.
B.
Yeah, the bee juju.
The B, that is the good juju. Yeah.
Squab was only 6 months old when this happened, indicating that Squab is an incredibly old man. No, not incredibly old. You're only as old as you feel. But for a baby bird, He's got some life experience on him, I'll tell you that. Yeah, none of us got hammered tonight. I don't mean drunk. No, I mean attacked with a hammer. It's totally not the same thing. Ah, I'm pretty sure I know what's coming in the interpretation, so I think I'm just going to interrupt Robert Greene and make a prediction here that, yeah, I mean, the jealousy of not only did Orton have amazing success with basically everything he touched, it was all the success that Mr. Hallowell here expected for himself. And he
Himself, yeah.
basically, I mean, rather than allowing himself to just be happy in the situation he was in,
Be part of it. He had to
yeah,
challenge.
let himself drive himself insane.
Mm.
Yes, good Biju present and accounted for. I mean, good juju. Yeah, that bad energy. I mean,
mm.
that will destroy you. So be
Mhm.
careful when. I mean, this warns against like causing envy, but be careful of holding on to envy because that's like drinking poison
Yeah.
and expecting the other guy to die.
Yep. Vitriol will kill you.
It really will. It'll
Mm.
kill your soul, which
Mhm.
is arguably worse than death because this is the kind of shit that comes from that, and it is actual death. Anyway, you have any thoughts on it, Kat? These two,
Nothing more than we said. Yeah. Well, it's pretty
what was that?
evident that it's not a good idea to hang on, like you're saying, hang on to that envy
I
and
mean, there's
let it drive you to that. It's not doesn't end
so
well for
he should have
anyone.
got a regular job or a hobby or something.
Mm. Or a better
But
attitude.
I mean, this guy sounds like he was kind of an abject failure at everything he did. So I think it might have been Joe's fault for keeping him around. But I mean, you love who you love, even if they're
Mhm.
dragging you down. And it sucks when they feel like you're suppressing
Because
them just
yeah.
because you do better than they do.
Mm. Yeah, it is a shame. It's a great shame if they end up bludgeoning you to death
Yeah, with a
repeatedly
hammer.
with blows of hammer to the head.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. And that note though, like if you read Joe's diary about like how awesome everything is, you'll understand why I had to kill us both. Anyway,
I do have a thought,
okay.
actually, and I don't know. This is a Beatles reference. Maxwell's silver hammer came bang bang down upon his head. Yeah, but I wonder if it's connected. I don't know that story to the Beatles, but I don't know the Beatles history that well. But there you go. But I know that there's a Beatles song called Maxwell's Silver Hammer, and it is about bang bang smack down on your head, and yeah, so,
I mean
there's a coincidence. I'll have to find out if it's anything to do with this. I'll leave it in the comments
that
afterwards.
that'll be interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm.
Leave that one in the comments too. Uh
Sorry, no,
in,
that's my thought. That's it.
interpretation.
Let's do it.
Kenneth Hallowell had tried to cast his deterioration as mental illness. But what Joe Orton's diaries revealed to him was the truth. It was envy, pure and simple, that lay at the heart of his sickness. The diaries, which Hallowell read on the side, okay, this is making a little more sense now.
Uh,
Read on the sly, recounted the
mm,
couple's days as equals in their struggle for recognition. It's easier to be happy in this regard because you're both unsuccessful
Hmm.
and you're both struggling. After Orton found success, the diaries began to describe Halliwell's brooding, his rude comments at parties, his growing sense of inferiority. All of this Orton narrated with a distance that bordered on contempt.
Mm.
Ooh. So he's giving a full clinical breakdown of his lover's shitty decline into abject uselessness.
Yeah, right there.
According to Ace Mod B. Jew here says McCartney described the song as symbolic of the downfalls of life, being my analogy for when something goes wrong out of the blue, as it often does. In other words, life happens.
Mm.
Mousen is here and is going to be taking a break probably in about 15 minutes or so, maybe even less, maybe now, to go do fish tanky stuff in Fish Tanky World. Happy Valentine's Day, Mousen. Oh, God, you got me to
Valentine's
say it
Day,
again.
Martin.
I said I wasn't fucking doing this. Fuck Valentine's Day. I said it. But if y'all are having a happy Valentine's Day, good for fucking
Mhm.
you. The diaries made clear Halliwell's bitterness over Orton's success. Did I just make clear my bitterness over anyone who's enjoying Valentine's Day with a significant other? I hope so.
It was a hint
It,
of it. Don't hang on to it though. That vitriol's not
I
good.
really, I don't care. I could give a fuck less. It's kind of, it's appalling.
It's
Anyway,
all about the love.
yeah.
Let them love. They like loving. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Hmm.
Fuck off with it, though. I don't care. I don't want to care to see it. Eventually, it's because of the envy. Eventually, the only thing that would have satisfied him would have been for Orton to have a failure of his own, an unsuccessful play, perhaps, so that they could have commiserated in their failure as they had done years before. See, this is the unfortunate part about keeping somebody around who's got this type of like hopeless negativity in them is the only thing that's going to make them happy is to see you as miserable as they are.
Hmm. Yeah, I've
When the
known people like
opposite
that.
happened, go ahead.
I've known people like that. They just will do anything to bring you down to the level that they're at. Just don't want to. Yeah.
Happy Value Times Day, Chilomania
Hey,
of the Space
Charlemagne.
Laser.
Happy
Did you know
Valentine's
that
Day.
Chilomania has space lasers?
Of course I know that. Yeah, of course. They're right there in the picture.
Well, tell your
Apart from
baby
anything else.
snails Happy Value Times Day.
Yeah, baby snails.
Yeah, baby snails.
Happy Valentine's
Tell them.
Day today.
You tell them.
Happy snailsy baby day.
Ah, there you go. Mary Jane. She's the only Valentine I actually need. Shout out to that green-eyed monster with the pretty red hairs. Anywho,
Mm.
when the opposite happened, as Orton only grew more successful and popular, Halliwell did the only thing that would make them equals again. He made them equals in death. With Orton's murder, he became almost as famous as his friend posthumously. Oh, that sucks.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh, look, Charlemagne is singing to you.
Singing to me? No way.
Or to chat at least.
thank you, Bijou, for promoting the author's YouTube channel because
Yeah.
Robert Greene does have a YouTube channel. Don't tell him I sent you if you go there because I don't need him coming here and critiquing my critique of his work and my very low level assessment. I promise you, all of the laws could be at least 6 hours just trying to break them down with additional examples, but I feel like that's a
Mm,
lot. I feel like 2 to 3 hours is reasonable. Unless it's a short one, and then like an hour and a half is nice.
mm,
Joe Orton only partly understood his lover's deterioration. His attempt to help Hallowell launch a career in art registered for what it was: charity and guilt. Orton basically had two possible solutions to the problem. He could have downplayed his own success, displaying some faults, deflecting Halliwell's envy, or once he realized the nature of the problem, he could have fled as if Halliwell were a viper, as in fact he was a viper of envy. That's what I would have done. I would have
mm,
got the fuck up out of there
mm-hmm.
because that kind of energy will only drag you down. Like,
Yep.
and not to get on a racism or anything, but you see this type of behavior a lot in the hood, in ghetto culture. Anyone who like aspires to success or like anything that is not of the hood culture, everyone is like crabs in
Mm-hmm.
a bucket. They will all try to drag that person down and
Mm,
beat the ambition out of them.
mm. Yeah.
And it's kind of gross, which is why I feel bad for. It's like, oh, well, what's wrong with the hood? It's this, like,
Mm,
and it's young boys and young men destroying each other because people can't abide somebody trying to do better for themselves. The envy is out of control.
mm. Yeah.
And it's not really even like a race thing. I've seen it more predominantly with young black men, but it's any group. Literally, it's that hood culture of underachieving and that ruthless savagery of just no future, and it's awful. It really is.
Mm,
But until the culture changes, you're not going to get much change out of that group. And when you incentivize it, you get more of it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
that's the way. Mm,
Once envy eats away at someone, everything you do only makes it grow. And day by day, it festers inside him. Eventually, he will attack. I mean, I got attacked quite a bunch by a bunch of envious people, and I didn't even come from the hood. I came from like, I mean, I came from the hood, but like when I actually started to shine, I had already we had moved out of the hood and into the suburbs, but I had always had natural talent to remember stuff and a natural curiosity to always like dig deeper into things that I thought were interesting. So
mm-hmm.
school, with its terribly deteriorated low standards as it had by the time I got there, was it was practically a cakewalk. Like, I was one of those kids that if I'd applied myself, like I would have had perfect scores because tests were easy and homework is basically like, can you look this up and write it down?
Mm,
I just didn't give a fuck. But my talent and my knack for just being able to handle it very successfully. Like that was evident to
Making it appear
every.
effortless.
I did make it appear very effortless, and it was
Mhm.
effortless. That's why it appeared effortless because I was one of those kids that wouldn't read the copy, wouldn't study for no tests, did no homework, would come in, take the test, and usually get within 90%, just based on like having to be present for most of the lessons. I could
Mm.
probably, with a lot of the tests I took in school, get a passing grade, having no idea what the initial material I was being tested on actually was.
Wow.
So yeah, I went through a lot of hell, and they eventually did start attacking me because I don't know.
Mm.
People hated the fact that I was the nerdy kid who was really good at that shit.
Doing better. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
eventually I had to start fighting back to defend myself, and
The way it goes.
nobody liked that, especially the authorities. It was all
Mm.
cool to see people get bullied, but when they start fighting back, that's when fists start flying.
Mhm.
It takes great talent and skill to conceal one's talent and skill. La Rochefoucauld. I like that. It really does. And you really do need
Exactly.
to kind of like dumb it down
Mm.
amongst the normies. Normies don't have this problem. That's the great part about being a normie is they don't have this problem, but I've had to put on a mask a few times
Mhm.
because of the fact that if I go ahead and say exactly what's on my mind, I ostracize myself in most social circles that I
Yeah.
move in. So I have to bite my tongue a lot, especially when I hear people talking cultural uh, conversations or relative contemporary politics. I'm just like, oh, I mean,
Mhm.
I've done work for the woman who is uh, the chairman of the National Organization of Women now in my area, and I was working at her
Mhm.
property one day, listening to her, who had just hosted like a banquet of some kind for the governor, and the governor was there. The governor of my state was there, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, I wanted to say all types of horrible what I thinks about the governor, but I'm like, nope, this is a professional environment, and I know how staunch of a supporter
Mhm.
she is. That's not really showing the envy though. That's just like
Yeah.
actually because it was not envy, but I mean it's like, oh, you gotta learn in all types of situations when to bite your tongue, and
Certainly do. Yeah.
a lot of times, yeah, you don't want to let people know that they're getting to you with their jealousy
Mhm.
or with your jealousy because that really just makes you look weak. Oh, this is a long story here. Do we want to even read this long ass story about envy tormenting Oglaros? I don't think we do. Let's ask the chat. Chat, do we read Envy torments Oglaros? One if we do, two if we don't. I will end this polling in 60 seconds.
You know, if you ask them what they're gonna say.
Yeah, Biju's the first one that said don't read it, so I'll end the poll on that one. Biju voted two twice. Some of these really long ones just get so bad with the typos and
Mm.
stuff that, like, I'll get halfway through the story and it'll just become unintelligible. This one doesn't seem that bad. All right. We got split decisions. We got a one. We got a two. Biju actually voted twice. What do you think, Kat?
Um, that's your call. I don't know how long it is and how you feel about the potential typos
I'll give her
and
a
how
shot,
relevant
see
it
what
is.
happens. If I get mad
Yeah.
and decide to skip the end or just leave it at in the middle, don't be mad at me. I am appearing not too perfect here.
It is about Minerva and
The
you
goddess
know,
Minerva. Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to
yeah,
read it.
not the Harry Potter lady.
No, the goddess
You, not her.
Minerva
Yeah, exactly. So,
made her way to the house of envy, a house filthy with dark and noisome slime. It is hidden away in the depths of the valleys where the sun never penetrates, where no wind blows through, a gloomy dwelling. And that's really true about having like envy in you is it makes everything seem kind of the suck.
mm,
Permeated by numbing chill, ooh, ever fireless, ever shrouded in thick darkness. When Minerva reached this spot, she stopped in front of the house and struck the doors with the tip of her spear, and at the blow they flew open and revealed envy within. Busy at a meal of snake's flesh, the food on which she nourished her wickedness. At the sight, Minerva turned her eyes away, but the other rose heavily from the ground, leaving the half eaten corpses, and came out with dragging steps. When she saw the goddess in all the brilliance of her beauty, in her flashing armor, she groaned. Envy's face was sickly pale, her whole body lean and wasted, and she squinted horribly. Her teeth were discolored. See, it's starting. It's fucking starting. Discolored and decayed. Her poisonous breast. Okay, it's continuing. Of a greenish hue. I'm pretty sure that is actually not a typo. I thought it was going to say breath, but. And her tongue dripped venom. I think it actually is meant to say breath.
I
Only
got
the sight of suffering could bring a smile to her lips. What was that?
no. She's got the greenish breath or the greenish breast, so whichever.
Either way,
They're poisonous. Hmm.
she never knew the comfort of sleep, but was kept constantly awake by care and anxiety. Looked with dismay on men's good fortune, and grew thin at the sight, gnawing at others and being gnawed. She was herself her own torment. Minerva, in spite of her loathing, yet addressed her briefly. Instill your poison into one of Cecrop's daughters. Her name is Aglaros. This is what I require of you. Without another word, she pushed against the ground with her spear, left the earth, and soared upwards. Yeah, I'd get out of that shit too.
Mm.
From the corner of her eye, the other watched the goddess out of sight, muttering and angry that Minerva's plan should be successful. Then she took her staff, all encircled with thorny briars, wrapped herself in dark clouds, and set forth. Wherever she went, she trampled down the flowery fields, withered up the grass, seared the tree tops, and with her breath tainted the peoples, their cities, and their homes, until at length she came to Athens, the home of wit and wealth, peaceful and prosperous. She could scarcely refrain from weeping when she saw no cause for tears. Then, entering the chamber of Cecrop's daughter, she carried out Minerva's orders. She touched the girl's breast with a hand dipped in malice, filled her heart with spiky thorns, and, breathing in a black and evil poison, dispersed it through her very bones, instilling the venom deep in her heart. That the reason for her distress might not be far to seek, she set before Aglaro's eyes a vision of her sister, of that her sister's fortunate marriage with the god Mercury, and of the god in all his handsomeness. And she exaggerated the glory of it all. So Aglaros was tormented by such thoughts, and the jealous anger she concealed ate into her heart. Day and night she sighed, unceasingly wretched, and in her utter misery wasted away in a slow decline, as when ice is melted by the fitful sun. The fire that was kindled within her at the thought of her sister's luck and good fortune was like the burning of weeds which do not burst into flames, but are nonetheless consumed by smoldering fire. Metamorphoses, Ovid. That was not that long and it was not that bad.
Mm. No, I'm glad you read it. That was good.
And envy is gross.
Mm.
Minerva was mean.
Yeah.
I bet she had a cat. Hey,
You
I have a
think?
cat. That's what
Mm.
Squab bets.
Yeah. Um, Rumble.
See, Jujubee, it wasn't that bad.
Ah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And that is kind of how jealousy gets. Ah, back to Joe, I think. Or no, we're in the interpretation now. Only a minority can succeed at the game of life. This is why when everybody bitches about the 1%, you know who they're talking about? The people who fucking won.
Mm-hmm.
They're mad at the Elon Musks and the Bill Gateses and the Mark Zuckerbergs because they put in the work to succeed. And yeah, success does not come for everybody. And rampant success for the very, very, very limited few.
Yes, indeed.
The vast majority of people are poor, successful, and they're stupid. They're poor, unsuccessful, and stupid. But I mean, you can be poor and stupid and still be content and happy. I
This is
figured
true.
that out because I'm poor and stupid. But I'm also content and happy. I
Yeah.
mean, not really, but
Depends what
that's
you're.
completely different aside.
Mm.
And that minority inevitably arouses the envy of those around them. Once success happens your way, however, the people to fear the most are those in your own circle. This is the crabs in the bucket. The closer they are to your circle, the closer they are to you. That means they're the
Mm.
crabs in your bucket. The friends and acquaintances you have left behind. I mean, how often is the reference made that somebody gets famous and forgets where they came from by some
Mhm.
friend or family member that is just
Yep.
jealous that they're not driving Lamborghinis and living in Malibu. It's you hear it so often.
You do, yeah.
Fe- Feelings of inferiority, not them. The thought of your success only heightens their feelings of stagnation because most people get up and they go to the same job they hate and they live the same life that they're unsatisfied by
Mhm.
and then they die.
And they don't have the drive to
Hey
do
yo,
the
Frago.
things that they're jealous of other people for.
Yeah, I mean, Baki is right. Like, mad at Jeff Bezos when Amazon is awesome. One day shipping, he deserves to be rich. I mean, you provide the service that everybody wants. I mean, before Bill Gates started going absolutely insane, his goal with Microsoft was to put a personal computer in every home. What did he do? He made the personal computer an indispensable tool and put it in every home. And
Mm.
everybody wants it. Like everybody keeps buying new computers. Why would you be mad at that man for the awesome good or service he provided for you, you know? Like just yeah, it's just jealousy.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's envy.
Yep.
It's the green-eyed monster. Did I say what's up to Frogget? Speaking
Okay.
of
Hey, Frog.
jealous,
Hello.
I'm just kidding, Frog. What's up, my dude? Shout out to the 9 watching on Rumble and the 6 watching on the YouTube. We have finally received achieved Rumbleception, where we are a bit bigger audience over there. That is my favorite thing to see. Not that I don't love you, YouTube. No, I don't love you, YouTube, but I love the YouTube audience. Like, don't think I don't.
Mm.
Envy, which the philosopher Kierkegaard calls unhappy admiration, takes hold. You may not see it, but you will feel it someday. Unless that is, you learn strategies of deflection, little sacrifices to the gods of success. Either dampen your brilliance occasionally, purposefully revealing a defect, weakness, or anxiety, or attributing your success to luck, or simply find yourself new friends. Never underestimate the power of envy. And if you're one who can't dumb it down for all your friends, just find new ones.
Mm.
Maybe it's because they're douchebags and detrimental to humanity. Mike Gohagan might be onto something.
Mm.
If you want
And
Darth to love you
usually
the
is.
most, yeah, click that Rumble link, y'all. Go follow me over there if you have the Rumble platform. Support that because, I mean, they're trying to support what I believe in, at least they claim to, more so than YouTube claims to support like free speech and free thought exchange. So we'll see how long that lasts. But for now, I'm on the Rumble team. Do you want to read the observance of the law, Cat Ninja?
No, not
Good, because
particularly.
this is my show and I read the book here. But
Yes.
thank you for your commentary, though. I appreciate it.
Oh, very welcome.
The merchant class and craft guilds to which medieval Florence owed its prosperity had created a republic that protected them from oppression by the nobility. We did this thing in America once too. It didn't work out so well. Since high office could only be held for a few months, term limits, no one could gain lasting dominance And although this meant that the political factions struggled constantly for control, the system kept out tyrants and petty dictators. I mean, this is the key to what you want for a governmental system. A governmental system that struggles for control so frequently that the only thing that can truly bring them together is like the overwhelming will of the people. Which is why this
Mm.
51% bullshit to making laws, I think, needs to come to an end. Like, if you don't have 2/3, 66% or more, fuck out of here. Don't even talk to me. The Medici family lived for several centuries under this system without making much of a mark. They had modest origins as apothecaries and were typical middle class citizens. Not until the late 14th century, when Giovanni de' Medici made a modest fortune in banking, did they emerge as a force to be reckoned with. So, poor people in the middle class generally don't have any power anyway. Usually, power is almost always historically reserved for the wealthy. Successful, I mean, they say money can't buy happiness, but I'd rather cry in a Ferrari than smile on a bicycle. Just saying.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, there are upsides to the Rumble Gang Gang.
Yeah, Rumble Gang Gang.
Upon Giovanni's death, his son Cosimo took over the family business and quickly demonstrated his talent for it. The business prospered under his control, and the Medicis emerged as one of the preeminent banking families of Europe. Jews. But they had a rival in Florence. Despite the city's republican system, one family, the Albizes, not to be confused with Albizi, if you know, you know, had managed over the years to monopolize control of the government, forging alliances, probably with cash, that allowed them to constantly fill important offices with their own men. I mean, who in government doesn't love a good bribe?
Hey, exactly. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
It's time.
I mean,
Thanks, Juju.
shout out to the timekeeper.
Yeah.
Usually adequate alcohol shows up around now. I would not suggest crying and riding your bike at the same time. I said I'd rather cry in a Ferrari than
Smile on
smiling
the
on a
bike.
bike. Yeah. I also
I don't
wouldn't suggest crying and driving
driving
your
and
Ferrari at the
driving.
same time. Like pull
Yeah.
over and cry, and then
Yeah.
get back to driving with that big ass smile on your face as you
Hmm.
mash that gas pedal and hit that sequential shifter. Like,
You will be crying with laughter, of course. Yeah,
oh yeah, I mean,
you would be.
Cosimo did not fight this. And in fact, he gave the Albizes his tacit support. Not tacit, tacit. I love that word.
Mm.
At the same time, while the Albizes were beginning to flaunt their power, Cosimo made a point of staying in the background. Eventually, however, the Medici wealth could not be ignored. And in 1433, Feeling threatened by the family, the Albizes used their government muscle to have Cosimo arrested on charges of conspiring to overthrow the Republic. My fucking God. Y'all hear that? Do you all hear that? This powerful, influential family who felt threatened by this other guy had him arrested on charges. Where have we heard this before, y'all? Like,
Hmm. I wonder.
the only difference is they haven't actually arrested this other man. They just want to, like, use kangaroo courts to charge him with conspiring to overthrow the republic. And I throw that. I mean, they're just protecting my democracy, man. I'm just protecting my democracy. Duh.
Do. Yeah. Well, you're hoping if they throw enough mud.
Some in the Albizi faction wanted Cosimo executed. Hmm. Others feared this would spark a civil war. Hmm.
Hmm.
In the end, they exiled him from Florence. Cosimo did not fight the sentence. He left quietly. Sometimes he knew it is wiser to bide one's time and keep a low profile, especially when they're all scheming to get your ass. You just get out, take your L, regroup. I mean, it's almost like history does repeat itself. It's always the fucking same game.
Mhm.
Cancel, false charges, kangaroo court of public opinion with a very strong narrative spin to one side. Over the next year, the Albizes began to stir up fears that they were setting up a dictatorship. How that dictate? Meanwhile, Cosimo, using his wealth to advantage, continued to exert influence on Florentine affairs, even from exile. Wink, wink.
Mhm.
A civil war broke out in the city, and in September of 1434, the Albizes were toppled from power and sent into exile. Cosimo immediately returned to Florence. His position restored, but he saw that he now faced a delicate situation. If he seemed ambitious, as the Albizes had, he would stir up opposition and envy that would ultimately threaten his business. If he stayed on the sidelines, however, he would leave an opening for another faction to rise up as the Albizes had and to punish the Medicis for their success. Interesting dilemma that you're in here, bruv. Because you saw what just happened to the guys who forced you out because you were a threat. You cannot go ahead and repeat their mistake by sparking up the bad sentiments. But you can't leave room for someone else to come in and fill that void that they left. Because otherwise, you're going to have to deal with that. Kind of tough, kind of a tough sell.
Mm.
Cosimo solved the problem in two ways. He secretly used his wealth to buy influence among key citizens. Who doesn't love a good bribe?
Mhm.
And he placed his own allies, and by bribe I mean campaign support for your
That's a
political
different.
aspirations. And he placed his own allies, all cleverly enlisted from the middle classes, to disguise their allegiance to him in top government positions. Aha. These are not my wealthy friends who you see me associate with all the time. These are regular average Joes who I bought off the street for cash. Shh, I
Mm.
didn't buy them off the street. I mean, they're just regular average Joes. I know them not. And they are
Oh yes,
definitely not
democratic.
working for me. Those who complained of his growing political clout were taxed into submission, or their properties were bought out from under them by Cosimo's banker allies. Dirty games. They still play these dirty games. The Republic survived in name only. Cosimo held the strings. Ah, don't you hate it when your government becomes corrupt?
Mm.
I
Yeah,
hate
it's a
that
bitch.
shit. Ain't it
Ain't it
a
a
bitch?
bitch? Yeah. Corrupt governments. Who'd have thought it?
While he worked behind the scenes to gain control, however, publicly Cosimo presented another picture. When he walked through the streets of Florence, he dressed modestly, was attended by no more than one servant, and bowed deferentially to magistrates and elder citizens. He rode a mule instead of a horse. He never spoke out on matters of public import. This right here, I think, is where the oligarchy fascist regime that has been formed kind of started losing its power. Like, they were buying influence economically. I mean, the big monopoly groups like your military industrial complex and your big tech sector.
Mhm. Yeah.
They were under threat of government actually having to lobby for their interests. Like, I used the example before of when back in the 90s that the US government threatened to break up Microsoft's monopoly, and like the next day there were 300 something lobbyists in Washington representing Microsoft, and you never heard from the government
Mm.
about
That
breaking
went
up their
away.
monopoly ever again.
Mm. Mhm.
Because a
That went
government
away very quickly.
doesn't hate a monopoly. They only hate a monopoly that they can't leech off of,
Okay.
because the only
Yeah.
monopolies that they truly support are their own.
Mm.
But when you go ahead and you start sticking your unreasonably large corporate opinion into the public square, people don't want to hear from you anymore. So, like, buy influence behind the scenes quietly to benefit yourself, but don't try to instill your will upon other people.
Mm. I don't
Do
really
not.
like that.
It's when they started speaking out and getting woke, as we call it, like, that everybody
Mm.
really started to truly hate these people, like,
Mm.
because they're
You.
all of a sudden it's like, why can't you just shut up and make your billions and entertain me? Don't fucking try to shove your values down my throat.
Yeah. Exactly.
even though he controlled Florence's foreign affairs for over 30 years. So he kept quiet on matters of public
Mm.
import despite this. He gave money to charities and maintained his ties to Florence's merchant class. He financed all kinds of public buildings that fed the Florentines' pride in their city, bread and circuses. But he was a philanthropist and a man of the people as well as a man of great influence, which, I mean, this goes to the winning of the hearts and minds, like,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
fact that there is no reversal to that law at all whatsoever. You
Yeah.
have to win the hearts and minds if you're to maintain any power over any significantly sized group of more than your own dumb self.
Mhm.
I do. I've got some. Uh, I feel like I should start doing another series of just like how this game is played, because if you do the application of the 48 laws of power to the current power structures of today, there's just so many different things that are referenced, and the game is so fucking corrupt, like, and to the best of my understanding, like, all source of corruption does not come back to like the people who are actually doing the lobbying like they want us to think, blame the greedy corporations. It's like, well, corporations just kind of wanted to make their own money, but the government makes them be corrupt because they basically strong arm threaten them.
Yeah.
And then, once they start buying their influence because they have to stay competitive or to stay on top, if they were already on top, basically to not be destroyed, then they feel like they have to push their influence because they bought the influence.
Yeah. That's
And it
stay there.
sucks. And it sucks,
Yeah.
especially when you get ideologues in control of the companies that want to push a really destructive ideology and influence onto you.
Mm.
It's getting there. It's getting there. Anyway, when he built a palace for himself and his family in nearby Fiesole, he turned down the ornate designs that Brunelleschi, yeah, Brunelleschi, that's a very Italian name, had drawn up for him,
Brunelleschi.
Brunelleschi, and instead chose a modest structure designed by Michelozzo, a man of
Michelozzi.
humble Florentine origin. So this sounds like a famous guy doing ornate. Like, one of the things that actually bothers me. This is a complete aside and totally off topic, but like the total lack of personality in modern architecture and how it just
Mm.
looks so
Oh,
industrial and dead.
yep. Well, it is.
It's this type of like humbling it down for the common
Mm.
man that kind of killed everything for everyone. Like,
Mm.
I miss the time where it was a point of pride to have something like elegant.
Ornate.
Maybe not always
Yeah.
extravagant, but
Mhm.
at least some level of elegance. Like,
Yeah.
the aspiration to mediocrity is a terrible thing for a culture.
It
When a
really is.
culture aspires
Yeah.
to greatness, guess what a culture most often achieves? Greatness. But if you
Greatness.
aspire to mediocrity, guess what?
Yeah. It
You're gonna
is.
get what you
Mhm.
get, and you're gonna
You get mediocrity.
still throw a fit.
Mm.
The palace was a symbol of Cosimo's strategy. All simplicity on the outside, all elegance and opulence within. There you go.
Mm.
You hid your beauty behind some facade of normie average.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the pod. Don't get me started on the pods. When the pods start coming, I'm flying to Mexico. I'm losing all my identification, and I'm going to come back only speaking Spanish with no documents. Then I'm going to get me one of them five-star hotel rooms and giant welfare checks. I have a plan, sir. Cosimo finally died in 1464 after ruling for 30 years. The citizens of Florence wanted to build him a great tomb and to celebrate his memory with elaborate funeral ceremonies. But on his deathbed, he asked to be buried without any pomp or demonstration. Some 60 years later, Machiavelli hailed Cosimo as the wisest of all princes, for he knew how extraordinary things that are seen and appear every hour make men much more envied than those that are done indeed and are covered over with decency.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna do greatness, keep it to yourself.
Don't flaunt it. Yeah.
Hey, Sigmund was a fraud, y'all. Just
Yeah. Hey.
so you know. Well, I think we all know, but Sigmund is also a homie, too, so.
Mhm.
Yep. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, sir. 8 p.m. Monday and Wednesday. That's in Eastern time. And noon on Fridays for at least a little while longer until I have to get back to doing my normal season of scheduled bullshit, in which case I'm going to have to move the Friday show to a later time because I can't do it at noon. But I like doing it at noon for now, so. Although, we're almost out of laws, so we're going to have to do something else.
Almost. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Interpretation. A close friend of Cosimo's, the bookseller Vespasiano da Bisticci? Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Sounds
Once
good.
wrote of him. Say what?
It sounds good. Yeah.
Hmm. And whenever he wished to achieve something, he saw to it, in order to escape envy as much as possible, that the initiative appeared to come from others and not from him. Now, that's a beautiful play right there, is
Mhm.
to plant seeds and ideas into other people's heads, get them to carry out the thing you want to do, and just kind of,
Yep.
fund it in the background, but absolutely get them to believe it was their idea, and
Their
then they will
idea.
not be
Yeah.
envious of you for that thing that you did through them.
Wasn't that in one of the other laws? Something similar to that. Make
Oh,
it
I mean that
make others appear that they have had the
you
idea.
yeah, that's definitely a very core fundamental is you can much more easily influence people to do things if you can get them to believe it was their idea. You just plant the
It was the
seeds. I can't
I
remember
remember
exactly
it was
which law.
the don't shoot the messenger kind of thing. Get somebody else to do your bidding for
Well,
you,
there's
so you're
that,
not the
yeah.
bad guy. Yeah,
Hmm.
different turn on it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
One of Cosimo's favorite expressions was envy is a weed that should not be smoked. I mean, watered.
Mm.
Understanding the power envy has in a democratic environment. Also, if you find a strain of weed called envy, Probably smoke it. I would.
Mm.
Yeah, understanding the power envy has in a democratic environment because most people are going to be jealous, envious little shits. Cosimo avoided the appearance of greatness. This does not mean that greatness should be suffocated or that only the mediocre should survive. Only that a game of appearances must be played. Yeah, if you're gonna be absolutely great, keep it to your damn self.
Mhm.
Don't you know the old phrase, if you got it, flaunt it? Don't do
Don't.
that. Don't do that. Do the opposite of that. And
Mhm.
always make it look like you got it by luck or uh, some large group of support got you to where you were and you really couldn't do it without them. Like, make alliances with those below you. Oh, wait, no, wait. There's more. The insidious envy of the masses can actually be deflected quite easily. Appear as one of them in style and values. Make alliances with those below you and elevate them to positions of power to secure their support in times of need. You bring up people who will not outshine you, because that's law one, and you make them
Mhm.
loyal by advancing your position with, or their position with yours. So as that rising tide raises up all ships,
Okay.
you remain at the top with nobody
Mhm.
to challenge you for dominance and a l- sea of loyal followers beneath you to support you and keep you afloat.
Yeah. The way to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Never flaunt your wealth. See? If you got it, don't
Mhm.
flaunt it.
Don't fall it.
And carefully conceal the degree to which it has bought influence. Definitely that.
Mm.
Make a display of deferring to others. This was that whole theory we were just talking about.
Yep.
As if they were more powerful than you. Couldn't have done it without you, bro. Couldn't have done it without you. Cosimo de' Medici perfected this game. He was a consummate con artist of appearances. No one could gauge the extent of his power. His modest exterior hid the truth. That jackass Bill Gates been trying to play this appearances game for
Mm.
years. Unfortunately, he does too much fucking public speaking, and he has for quite a long time now. And we have the
Mm.
internet. So even though you have your fucking $10 Supercuts haircut and your goofy ass sweater, we know what you're up to, you son of a bitch. People are watching you and they're doing the noticing. I'm just saying, we out here.
Mm.
Never. Were you gonna say something?
No, no, no.
Oh, never be so foolish as to believe that you are stirring up admiration by flaunting the qualities that raise you above others. Nope. By making others aware of their inferior position, you are only stirring up unhappy admiration or envy, which will gnaw away at them until they undermine you in ways you cannot foresee. The fool dares the gods of envy by flaunting his victories. The master of power understands that the appearance of superiority over others is inconsequential next to the reality of it.
Mm. Don't get cocky, kid.
Yeah, don't get cocky, kid, indeed.
Mm.
I mean, Go Hagen's on some Ready Player One meets the Matrix type shit.
Mm. Yep.
That's Baki's play too. Uh, in his old job, I always shared success with others, especially my friends and allies, of course. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
if you're gonna be playing a power role, definitely don't make a bunch of enemies around you or rub it in everyone's face if you get ahead of everybody because you have the abilities and the ambition because they probably don't. And rather than aspire to something themselves, their aspirations will become to destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
Like our man Halliwell, like, since I can't make myself equal to you in life, I will make us both equal in death. And there are some people who are so jealous and envious that they want to burn down everyone else's success because that's the only solace that they can find in their uselessness.
Mm.
Dropping by to like and say hi. I overslept. Happy Valentine's Day. Uh, I mean Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Michelle. Good to see you.
Hey, Shelley. Happy Valentine's.
Oh,
Well,
God, I'm getting
why?
sick of
Well,
saying
it's
that, but
technically
there's,
not Valentine's Day here anymore, so I can say it. And
thank God.
no, I'm out of that.
Oh, look at that,
We're
hitting
over.
my Rumble too.
No.
Alrighty. Of all the disorders of the soul, envy is the only one no one confesses to. Plutarch. I mean, if you ask everybody on the seven deadly sins wheel, which one is the one that gets them, very few people are going to point at that one. Almost no one.
Mm.
So, yeah, Plutarch's got
Mm-hmm.
a point here. And that's probably the most common one of all.
People always want what they haven't got. Just human nature. Right?
Yeah. The envious hides as carefully as the secret, lustful sinner and becomes the endless inventor of tricks and stratagems to hide and mask himself. Thus, he is able to pretend to ignore the superiority of others, which eats up his heart, as if he did not see them, nor hear them, nor were aware of them, nor had ever heard of them. He is a master simulator. On the other hand, he tries with all his power to connive and thus prevent any form of superiority from appearing in any situation. And if they do, he casts on them obscurity, hypercriticism, sarcasm, and calumny. Like the toad that spits poison from its hole, on the other hand, he will raise endlessly insignificant men, mediocre people, and even the inferior in the same type of activities. So he promotes that which is nan and disdains
Mm.
that which is anything of value.
Yeah.
Hold on, I might be missing a chat from my Rumble side because be Juju. Is that in the StreamYards? It doesn't. Oh no, there it is. Well done getting him to say that shit again. If you want to know everything they have planned, just look at. I mean, there's literally, if you type UN Agenda 2030, they literally wrote it all down for you and put it on the internet. Put their
Mm.
names on it and everything. And yep, it's all about framing. But yeah, everyone should go read that if you haven't. That was Schopenhauer, by the way. For not many men, the proverbs say, the for not many men, the proverb says, can love a friend who fortune prospers without feeling envy. And about the envious brain, cold poison clings and doubles all the pain life brings him. His own woundings he must nurse and feels another's gladness like a curse. Aeschylus? Yeah, I think it's Aeschylus.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a story in the Bible about the favored son. No, in fact, there's several. I mean, there's Cain and Abel. There's
Hmm.
the brother Joseph, I believe it is, sold by his brothers because they were afraid of
Yeah.
his greatness and envious of his prophecies from God. It's not a
That's
new
the thing.
thing, and then yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the
That's the
green-eyed
thing.
monster turns into a terrible wrath.
Mm. Sure
Keys?
do.
Shall we get the
Yeah.
keys?
Let's get the keys. Let's do it.
Get the keys. Keys to power. The
Keys to
human
power.
animal has a hard time dealing with feelings of inferiority for all the reasons we've mentioned so far. In the face of superior skill, talent, or power, we are often disturbed and at ill ease. This is because most of us have an inflated sense of ourselves, and when we meet people who surpass us, they make it clear to us that we are, in fact, mediocre, or at least not as brilliant as we had thought. This disturbance in our self image cannot last long without stirring up ugly emotions. At first, we feel envy. If only we had the quality or skill of the superior person, we would be happy. But envy brings us neither comfort nor any closer to equality. Spoiler warning, y'all, there is no such thing as equality. Not between two people, not between any people, ever, anywhere. We are all uniquely situated to be
Hmm.
unequal to all of each other. That's why hierarchies have existed forever. Nor can we admit to feeling it, for it is frowned upon socially. To show envy is to admit to feeling inferior. To close friends, that would be all of you, we may confess our secret unrealized desires. I don't have any. Ha ha. That first part was a JK. But we will never confess to feeling envy. I'm not envious of anyone. That's why I'm not confessing to that. So it goes underground. We disguise it in many ways, like finding grounds to criticize the person who makes us feel it. He may be smarter than I am, we say, but he has no morals or conscience. Or he may have more power, but that's because he cheats. If we do not slander him, perhaps we praise him excessively. Another of envy's disguises. That would be your idol worshiping behavior. And dear God, one of my best examples of this is all the mouth breathing jackasses who worship God Emperor Trump as if he were just that God Emperor and not like some flawed man who really wasn't even like, I claim to be the best president we've ever had in this country since Lincoln, but I'm actually not. In fact, I didn't even do a very damn good job at that, to be honest. I was pretty imperfect and all of that. I sometimes carry Darth around on a string, but it doesn't denote anything. It's just a thing we do.
Well,
Yeah,
interesting
I
concept.
mean, I'm pretty sure it was Joseph that got sold
And his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
into slavery in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. God, I need to get more into the word. Like, I am slacking. Squad Bob will be disappointed at my lack of being able to have perfect recall of very important
Hey, no one's perfect.
telling
You didn't want to
lessons.
appear that way anyway.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to appear perfect because the last guy who truly was perfect, they crucified him. All of us.
Hmm. Isn't
Every
that the
single
prime
one of us.
example of this story?
Yeah.
This law of power.
I mean, the fact that they didn't use Jesus' story, Robert Greene, I feel like
Just
you
missed
were a
a
little remiss in that.
opportunity there.
Hmm.
Mm,
That would be a perfect transgression of the law.
indeed, it would.
And it would have pissed off the atheists, too, which would have been funny. There are several strategies for dealing with the insidious, destructive emotion of envy. First, accept the fact that there will be people who will surpass you in some way, and also the fact that you may envy them. But make that feeling a way of pushing yourself to equal or surpass them someday. Let envy turn inward and it poisons the soul. Expel it outward and it can move you to greater heights. This is like the most
Mm,
obvious strategy here is the use your envy not as negative admiration, but as positive admiration and as
inspiration.
inspiration. Yes.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. I've come across these people too. They're almost as bad as the people who hate Trump and all the lies they spread about him. Like the it's almost religious on both sides because there's a dogma. It's dogmatic at best. And as long as we have the string between us, squab, we will always be tied down or something. There's better strategies though. I wonder if they're going to get into mine.
Mm, I
Second,
hope so.
understand that as you gain power, those below you will feel envious of you. They may not show it, but it is inevitable. Do not naively accept the facade they show you. Read between the lines of their criticisms, their little sarcastic remarks, the signs of backstabbing, the excessive praise that is preparing you for a fall, the resentful look in the eye. Half the problem with envy comes when we do not recognize it until it is too late. And a lot of the times, because these issues with the envy being your undoing so frequently do come from those in your closest circles, we often, in our hubris, want to ignore the obvious envy that we come across because we don't want to see it. I mean, I guess for most people, this shit's not going to be super relevant because how many people are truly going to achieve any great level of power? But I tend not to, like, sometimes I'll use that first approach of the um using envy and admiration as inspiration to try to
Hmm.
excel better myself, but you can't really measure your success next to other people. You can really only measure your success compared to where you've been in the past, like where you've come from.
Yeah,
That the
absolutely. Yeah.
yardstick is not fair.
Hmm.
But what I like to do if I'm ever feeling too envious of somebody who's doing so much better than me, I come on the
Mm.
internet and I go to places like Twitter or Facebook and I look at how many people are stupid. And I just realized that, you know what? Even though I'm not at the top, I am
Hmm.
far from the bottom.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
a little bit of like hubris check is just understanding that no matter how frustrated you are because you're not where you want to be, as long as you're striving, you're going to be
Hmm.
significantly ahead of most people. So don't
Yeah.
focus so much on all the things you don't have. Because remember, there are homeless people who've got it a shitload worse than you, and be a little fucking grateful for
Yeah.
the
True.
station you do have, because all of us at least get to hang out on the internet with our friends and talk philosophy instead of like having it so much worse. So you know what? I mean,
Mm.
it's fucking
Yeah.
good, good gig if you can get it. And I feel like a lot of people with their first world problems just aren't
Yeah.
able to be just basically content. And that's how envy gets you is you're not
Yeah.
comfortable and
Content.
content where you are.
100%.
And for
Yeah,
most
be
people,
grateful for
this
what
is
you've
what you're
got.
going to need. Like is I guess I should retitle this law from never appear too perfect to never let perfect appearances poison you, like, because that's really the
Mm.
majority of it. Like, there's gonna
Yeah.
be people that do better than you. Deal with it.
Yeah.
They're
There's
going
always
to
someone worse
outshine
off
you.
too.
And most
Yeah.
people who do have a unique situation and skill set, like all the circumstances come together to
Hmm.
make their unique thing happen. Like, even if you had all the skills they have, you're probably not going to have all the perfect circumstances they have to achieve the levels they have. You will achieve what levels you can achieve
Hmm. Yeah.
and learn to be content with it.
Yeah. absolutely. Be grateful for what you've got. Know that there's
Yep.
always other people that are worse off.
Yeah.
There may be those that appear to be better off, and
Listen to the small mouse and who prefers the bottom, but is satisfied and comfortable, does not aspire to great
mm,
heights of power, is okay with where she's at.
if you don't set yourself unreasonable
Try as he
goals
might,
and
Darth
standards,
just
then
doesn't have my charm. He has to come to terms with it. No, I have a charm all my own, Bijou, and though our charms sometimes might be on the same bracelet, they are not the same charm, not even close. Yours is a flower. Mine is a flaming robotic butthole. We are not the same. Finally, expect that when people envy you, they will work against you insidiously. They will put obstacles in your path that you will not foresee or that you cannot trace to their source. It is hard to defend yourself against this kind of attack. And by the time you realize that envy is at the root of a person's feelings about you, it is often too late. Your excuses, your false humility, your defensive actions only exacerbate the problem. Since it is far easier to avoid creating envy in the first place than to get rid of it once it is there, you should strategize to forestall it before it grows. It is often your own actions that stir up envy, your own unawareness. By becoming conscious of those actions and qualities that create envy, you can take the teeth out of it before it nibbles you to death. And it will nibble you to death. It will very, very rarely ever come and try to rip out your throat.
gnaw
It
at you
will
from the inside.
gnaw, well, it will gnaw at the people who are envious, and they will try to gnaw at you
Well,
and
that's yeah, gnaw at
up.
yeah, I meant
Like if you just outright if they outright
mental
directly
jealousy,
attack you,
gnawing at the people. Yeah.
you can recognize them very quickly if they outright like try to come destroy you quickly, and
Mhm.
then you will not keep them around. Those will be the ones you discard and break ties. Like, okay, get your jealous sucker ducker ass the fuck up out of here.
Mm.
Hmm. Hello, Firsty. Fell asleep.
Being there.
Oh,
Oh,
did you disconnect?
no, haven't have I?
Yeah, your connection's going kind of shit.
Ah, shit. Well, if I get cut off, I'll come back. I don't know what's going on. I haven't moved or anything.
Okay, well,
So,
I heard it reconnect because I heard a little ding. Kierkegaard believed that there are types of people who create envy and are as guilty when it arises as those who feel it. The most obvious type we all know. The moment something good happens to them, whether by luck or by design, they crow about it. Oh my god, I do this shit sometimes. In fact, they get pleasure out of making people feel inferior. I try to keep this to gaming, but sometimes I do this shit in real life.
mm,
This type is obvious and beyond hope. Oh, you better work on that, Darth. There are others, however, who stir up envy in more subtle and unconscious ways and are partly to blame for their troubles. Envy is often a problem, for example, for people with great natural talent. Sir Walter Raleigh was
Mm.
one of the most brilliant men at the court of Queen Elizabeth of England. Oh no, we're going to the UK.
That place again.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Whoa, I didn't know your YouTube channel had three A's before the H.
Oh,
Ninja.
I did neither did I.
Apparently it does.
Yeah, it looks like it. Hey,
Bijou
Susie.
has linked
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, some reason.
He had skills as a scientist, wrote poetry still recognized as among the most beautiful writing of the time, was a proven leader of men, an enterprising entrepreneur, a great sea captain, and on top of all this, was a handsome, dashing courtier who charmed his way into becoming one of the Queen's favorites. God, what a fucking resume on that guy. Some people just have it all, don't they?
Don't they just? And then they
Wherever,
flaunt it.
well, I mean, when you have it as good as this guy does, it's almost impossible to hide it. People are going to
Mhm.
notice
Yeah.
because everything you do, it's like King Midas, you know? Everything you touch
Hmm.
turns to gold. People are going to
Hmm.
notice you have a golden touch.
Yeah.
Actually, as far as very punchable faces go, Firsty, yours is not so very punchable.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But it's not punchable.
It's not like
It's easy
Randy's
to
face,
see it.
which is much more punchable than yours, or Paul's. Wherever he went, however, people blocked his path. Eventually, he suffered a terrific fall from grace, leading even to prison and finally the executioner's axe. Raleigh
Yeah.
could not understand the stubborn opposition he faced from the other courtiers. He did not see that he had not only made no attempt to disguise the degree of his skills and qualities, he had imposed them on one and all, making a show of his versatility, thinking it impressed people and won him friends. In fact, it made him silent enemies, people who felt inferior to him and did all they could to ruin him the moment he tripped up or made the slightest mistake. In the end, the reason he was executed was treason, but envy
Mm.
will use any cover it finds to mask its destructiveness. The envy elicited by Sir Walter Raleigh is the worst kind. It was inspired by his natural talent and grace, which he felt was best displayed in its full flower. Money others can attain, power as well, but superior intelligence, good looks, charm, these are qualities no one can acquire. I am sorry, everybody. I was just born this way, which is why I keep my handle as Darth Hideous and my beautiful face off the camera. I don't need anybody getting all that envy towards me, damn it. The
Yeah.
naturally perfect have to work the most to disguise their brilliance. I'm still not perfect. I mean, I still got a lot of problems, but Like, I drink too much and I'm kind of an asshole to all my friends, which I have very few of because I'm kind of an asshole to them. That's kind of a problem, but I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm just kidding, y'all. Y'all never know.
Mm.
Uh, Displaying a defect or two to deflect envy before it takes root, it is a common and naive mistake to think you are charming people with your natural talents when in fact they are coming to hate you. I knew a guy once who had the good looks, the charm, was amazing with women, like always had the prettiest girls, like naturally just born athletic kid. Not the
Mm.
smartest guy, but smart enough to be
Never are.
witty and charming.
Mm.
I used to hate that fucking guy.
Yeah. Appearing too perfect.
Yep.
But he wasn't, though.
Darth is my friend and has been an AL still love him asshole. Oh, yeah, that's bullshit. First shot and you know it. That is bullshit and you damn well know it. Joseph and his coat. Oh my. It's almost like
Yeah.
we discussed this already.
Almost like we
Now,
predicted this.
Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And his brothers envied him, and when they saw him afar off, they conspired against him to slay him.
Mm.
And now they said to one another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Genesis 37, 3 through 20. And it is a damn good. Yeah, I was right. It was Joseph. I didn't even think
Mm.
about the fact that I did remember that one. That's a very
Yeah.
important story. But I mean,
Certainly is.
who'd have thunk that would be the thing that would stick out in my head?
Mm.
Uh, I love the scriptures. They're so
Mm.
timeless, perfectly written,
It's amazing how much sticks in your head, and then you
and then you have to rattle
find
it
yourself.
around.
Yeah, and then you find yourself saying things and tracing them back and over.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Just
Oh.
in case anyone was wondering, the tragedy of the tomb is getting skipped. Uh, a great danger in the realm of power is the sudden improvement in fortune, an unexpected promotion, a victory or success that seems to come out of nowhere. This is sure to stir up envy among your former peers. When Archbishop de Retz was promoted to the rank of cardinal in 1651, he knew full well that many of his former colleagues envied him. Understanding the foolishness of alienating those below him, de Retz did everything he could to downplay his merit and emphasize the role of luck in his success. To put people at ease, he acted humbly and deferentially, as if nothing had changed. In reality, of course, he now had much more power than before. He wrote that these wise policies produced a good effect by lessening the envy which was conceived against me, which is the greatest of all secrets. Follow De Retz's example. Subtly emphasize how lucky you have been to make your happiness seem more attainable to other people, and the need for envy less acute. But be careful not to affect a false modesty that people can easily see through. This will only make them more envious. The act has to be good. Your humility and your openness to those you have left behind have to seem genuine. Any hint of insincerity will only make your new status more oppressive. Remember, despite your elevated position, it will do you no good to alienate your former peers. Power requires a wide and solid support base, which envy can silently destroy. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Cheers, y'all. What a subtle way to interrupt my reading. Amen, squab.
Mm, mm,
Amen.
amen.
Yeah, to go back to the story of Joseph and his coat of many colors, those were his fucking brothers
Yep.
that were going to kill him. They ended up selling him into slavery, but they were going to kill him. The, the compromise was selling him, which, I mean, did wonders for his dream. That's for sure. Political power of any kind creates envy, and one of the best ways to deflect it before it takes root is to seem unambitious. When Ivan the Terrible died, Boris Godunov knew he was the only one on the scene who could lead Russia. Well, that's a little bit self-important there, isn't it, buddy? He sounds a lot like Vivek Ramaswamy, like, I'm the only one who can do this job. No, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could do this job just as good as you, and I have just as much experience. I don't have billions of dollars to run a political campaign, though. But if he sought the position eagerly, he would stir up envy and suspicion among the boyars. So he refused the crown not once, but several times. He made people insist that he take the throne. Because if you make them beg you to do it, they'll be less likely to question you when you have to do the thing.
Mm.
George Washington used the same strategy to great effect. First, in refusing to keep the position of commander in chief of the American Army. Second, in resisting the presidency. Spoiler warning, those are the same fucking thing. Now, in both cases, he made himself more popular than ever. People cannot envy the power that they themselves have given a person who does not seem to desire it.
Mm.
Unfortunately, that's not how shit works anymore. That literally only worked for like George Washington. According to the Elizabethan statesman and writer Sir Francis Bacon,
Mm.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
the great
Bacon.
great great grandfather seven removed of 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. The wisest policy of the powerful is to create a kind of pity for themselves as if their responsibilities were a burden and a sacrifice. I mean, Lord Jesus' responsibilities were burden and sacrifice. Take all of our burdens and sacrifice himself.
Mm.
How can one envy a man who has taken on a heavy load for the public interest? I beg of you, please tell me. Disguise your power as a kind of self sacrifice rather than a source of happiness, and you make it seem less enviable. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the president is a powerful job. I wouldn't want it. I mean, I really wouldn't want to do that fucking job. It seems like such a giant fucking display of peacocking all the time.
Yeah.
I would lose my shit with those people. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. Like, I have good ideas, but I don't have the personality to politic because I don't have a penchant for bullshit.
Mm. Well, maybe that's what's needed.
Yeah. Emphasize your troubles and you turn a potential danger, envy, into a source of moral support, pity. A similar ploy is to hint that your good fortune will benefit those around you. Always do that, right?
Mm.
To do this, you may need to open your purse strings. People love a good gift. That definitely will turn down the envy if your wealth and power are benefiting the envious around you. They feel like they're getting something out of it. And they're more likely to support you because, hey, I benefit from this without having to do any work myself. Who doesn't love free shit? That's why communism is so fucking popular because it sounds good. Free shit for me and I don't have to work for it. I'll vote for that. In fact, most idiots will fucking vote for that. And communism never comes all at once, it's incremental and it's slowly creeping up on you with the siren song of free shit Pied Pipering at the front of the band.
Like from the last law. Don't change everything all at once.
Yeah, or despise the free lunch
Mm.
because ain't shit free and free comes with a dick in the ass.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're killing me over here, Smalls. Oh my. I understand. I didn't want to be president of my local Darth Hideous fan club, but it was thrust upon me. That is only
Well, yeah.
because I looked at the Darth Hideous fan club. There's literally only one chapter, and it's your local chapter. There's literally only one member, and it's you. It was thrust upon you by like unanimous vote. Everybody else voted for you. All the other members. Darth Hideous fan club doesn't have fans in it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Cat Ninja's been here pretty much since the very beginning of the laws. If I go
Hmm.
back to Law One, I'll probably find Cat Ninja in the old YouTube chat archives.
You probably would.
Like Simon, a wealthy general in ancient Athens who gave lavishly in all kinds of ways to prevent people from resenting the influence he had bought in Athenian politics. He paid a high price to deflect their envy, but in the end, it saved him from ostracism and banishment from the city, because we did find out in a previous law the Athenians loved to ostracize anybody who seemed like they were actually excelling in their society. Weird practice, but it seemed to work for them, like embracing the mediocrity. The painter, J.M.W. Turner, devised another way of giving to deflect the envy of his fellow artists, which he recognized as his greatest obstacle to his success. Noticing that his incomparable color skills made them afraid to hang their paintings next to his in exhibitions, he realized that their fear would turn to envy and would eventually make it harder for him to find galleries to show in. On
Hmm.
occasion, then, Turner is known to have temporarily dampened the colors in his paintings with soot to earn him the goodwill of his colleagues. We heard this story
We
in a
heard this, yeah.
previous law quite some
Mm.
time ago, yes.
A while ago, but I remember, yeah.
It's funny when you get to the end how many times the past has been referenced.
Mm. Bringing it all together. Mm.
My girl Maggie had a quote for that. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Was that Margaret Thatcher? He says this girl Maggie like he was
Sounds about right. Yeah.
personal fucking homies with Margaret
Mm-hmm.
Thatcher.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're
Just
like
seem
the
to have a
Mormons,
thing.
but fun. That's our catchphrase. Hey, some peeps haven't liked this stream yet. I mean, please.
What? What is up with them?
I'm not trying to
They,
tell you what to do, but it doesn't cost you anything and it's helpful to the algorithm and stuff. Or so they tell me anyway. That's what I'm supposed to say. If you like it, like it. I don't care if you don't, you don't. If you think it's trash, the thumbs down button exists. I mean, I'm not here to make your decision for you. Be discerning. Use your best judgment. Unfortunately, for those watching on X, I think there might still be one or two of you over there. There is no dislike button on X, which is lame. X has no capacity for criticism. I am focused, Bijou. Some I'm also engaged in chat because it's a discussion. To deflect envy, Gracienne recommends that the powerful display a weakness, a minor social indiscretion, a harmless vice. Like somebody who occasionally will drink a little too much and become a little bit belligerent and sound much more stupid than he really is. Give those who
occasionally.
envy you something to feed on. Distract them from your more important sins. Remember, it is the reality that matters. But perception is everything. You may have to
Mm.
play games with appearances, but in the end, you will have what counts: true power. In some Arab countries, a man will avoid arousing envy by doing as Cosimo de' Medici did, by showing his wealth only on the inside of his house. Apply this wisdom to your own character. Beware of some of envy's disguises. Excessive praise is an almost sure sign that the person praising you envies you. They are either setting you up for a fall. It will be impossible for you to live up to their praise, or they are sharpening their blades behind your back, which is usually the more often one that you really want to be aware of.
Mm.
At the same time, those who are hypercritical of you or who slander you publicly probably envy you as well. Recognize their behavior as disguised envy, and you keep out of the trap of mutual mudslinging or of taking their criticisms to heart. Win your revenge by ignoring their measly presence. Cat Ninja, you're muted.
Hello.
You disconnected again, and I think it muted you when you came back.
Oof, I'm here.
Yeah, it didn't actually disconnect you like out of the room, so I don't know. I think it's the Wi-Fi. To dislike on X would be an oxymoron. Is Guinness even beer though? Is it? Is it really?
uh,
It would have been
I've had a
mildly amusing
stout.
if I had typed it correctly. It is a simply sleepy place. There's not much to do in the Upper Peninsula, that's why. Except for a lot of sleeping and running from bears and wolves and shit. Do not try to help or do favors for those who envy you. Now, this right here is probably the hardest one for most people, I think. They will think you are condescending to them. And it could be just a little thing like assisting a coworker who seems to be struggling with a task, even though a lot of things are easier done with two people. You're going to find those I don't need your help type of people who are just going to be mad because you could probably have done what they're doing by yourself easily and they're struggling. That's not your fault. They're mad because they're inferior. This shit happens. But don't be that guy either that's like, when very clearly obvious useful help comes along, don't be so fucking proud. Accept that shit. Joe Orton's attempt to help Hallowell find a gallery for his work only intensified his lover's feelings of inferiority and envy. Once envy reveals itself for what it is, the only solution is often to flee the presence of the enviers, leaving them to stew in a hell of their own creation. Finally, I swear to God, this Keys to Power has said finally at least 3 times. Be aware that some environments are more conducive to envy than others. The effects of envy are more serious among colleagues and peers where there is a veneer of equality. Envy is also destructive in democratic environments where overt displays of power are looked down upon. Be extra sensitive in such environments. The filmmaker Ingmar Bergman was hounded by Swedish tax authorities because he stood out in a country where standing out from the crowd is frowned upon. Aha, cucked Sweden. Always have you been, always shall you be. It is almost impossible to avoid envy in such cases, and there is little you can do but accept it graciously and take none of it personally. As Thoreau once said, envy is the tax which all distinction must pay. Thank you, Thoreau. Did ever anybody seriously confess to envy? Something there is in it universally felt to be more shameful than even felonious crime. And not only does everybody disown it, but the better sort are inclined to incredulity when it is in earnest imputed to an intelligent man. But since lodgment is in the heart, not the brain, no degree of intellect supplies a guarantee against it. Envy is not a thought, it is a very deep emotional feeling, and you're not going to be able to rationalize it away unless, I mean, you can if you have the intelligence to realize all the things I've mentioned about it. Yeah, this is correct. Like, no matter what we do in the place we are, like at work, when we're done, we all go home and we have nothing more to fucking do with this. Like, God, I got promoted once to like a shift leader, and all the people that I worked with, like, anytime I had to ask anybody who I used to share line space with to do anything, people wanted to give me attitude, and it's just like, bro, it's this type of attitude that's the reason you're not in this position and I am. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, it just happens. Like, being a team lead with people is tough, especially if the job you're doing doesn't look too much different than the job they're doing. Perception is everything. Did ever anybody seriously confess to envy? Something there is in it universally felt it to be more shameful than even felonious crime. And not only does everybody disown it, but the better sort are inclined to it. Oh, I read all this. Billy Budd, Herman Melville. Bleh. My brain is starting to misfire. God damn it. Clearly, I need to get to the end of this stream. Image, a garden of weeds. You may not feed them, but they spread as you water the garden. You may not see how, but they take over, tall and ugly, preventing anything beautiful from flourishing. Before it is too late, do not water indiscriminately. Destroy the weeds of envy by giving them nothing to feed on. You know how you get rid of weeds from your garden, y'all? You just rip them out by the roots and toss them aside. That's truly like the most
Do it.
reasonable way to deal with envy is just when you have that shit around you and you possibly can. Like, that's why they said like this happens because in your personal life, when you have an envious person, you can just cut them off. But in your professional life, like if somebody is envious of you and working to undermine you and destroy you,
Hmm.
you still have to deal with them unless you have the power to get rid of them. And even at that point, when you start getting rid of too many people that have envy towards you, then you stir up bad sentiments with everyone else who sees that you're basically using your influence to serve your own ends.
Mm.
So at that point, using things like emphasizing luck or just like displaying an occasional strategic flaw is kind of necessary because you can't just get rid of that person. Authority. Upon occasion, reveal a harmless defect in your character. That thing right there.
Mm.
For the envious accuse the most perfect of sinning by having no sins. They become an Argus, all eyes for finding fault with excellence. I've heard people say, oh, like, I hate this person. I mean, so many people hate Tom Brady. Do you know why they hate Tom Brady? Because he's Tom fucking Brady, and they will cling to every little thing. You know why? It's that like fist and a half full of Super Bowl rings that he has. That like charming personality, the good looks, the I mean he did have a supermodel wife, but he getting a supermodel divorce now. Or he got a supermodel divorce. I don't know, but I mean, the motherfucker basically was like a understudy to Brian Greasy at the University of Michigan. Uh, Picked almost dead last in the draft, like 199th overall, and went on to be the goat. So he came up from nothing and basically became the goat of the NFL in the quarterback. Like people hate him. Like
Mm.
and when you get down to the true heart of like, why do you really hate Tom Brady? He's just too fucking perfect. I hate it.
Well, that's the thing. You see, he would have had it. He would have had the support when he was the underdog. But
Yeah.
people love to tear people.
Oh, cat, you cut out
Yeah,
again.
you got me. My back.
Yeah, you're back. I'm
Oh,
making an example of someone who people are insanely jealous of for being too perfect. Jujubee. This is part of covering the book is the discussion. Remember? Besides, the longer I go, the more chances that I can get for people to come in late, and the more view time this can get. Cat?
yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't gone again. Right, I'm still here.
Okay.
I was just saying. I don't know if you caught it. It was that he would have had the support when he was the underdog, and
hmm
that's
He did.
people love to tear someone down once they've got to the place they had
Yeah.
initially wanted them to get to. It's just
Yeah, unless you're Michael Jordan, which nobody, even if you argue that Kobe or LeBron is the GOAT, nobody ever, like, knocks Michael Jordan. I noticed that. It's kind of weird. I don't know why. But Michael Jordan is not considered unflawed, I guess. Probably because he had a very humble, very team focused attitude. Like, it is their only consolation. Do not let envy burst with its own venom. Affect some lapse in valor or intellect, so as to disarm it beforehand. You thus wave your red cape before the horns of envy in order to save your immortality. Gracienne. Know how to triumph over envy and malice. Here contempt, although prudent, counts indeed for little. Magnanimity is better. A good word concerning one who speaks evil of you cannot be praised too highly. There is no revenge more heroic than that brought about by those merits and attainments which frustrate and torment the envious. So when someone speaks ill of you, speak fondly, highly, and respectfully of them. When they're trashing your name, lift theirs up, and they will
Mm.
absolutely be destroyed by their venom themselves. I mean, or at least rebuked by it. Every stroke of good fortune is a further twist of the rope round the neck of the ill disposed, and the heaven of the envied is hell for the envious. To convert your good fortune into poison for your enemies is held to be the most severe punishment you can inflict on them. The
Mm.
envious man dies not only once, but as many times as the person he envies lives to hear the voice of praise. The eternity of the latter's fame is the measure of the former's punishment. The one is immortal in his glory, the latter in his misery. The trumpet of fame, which sounds immortality for the one, heralds death for the other, who is sentenced to be choked to death on his own envy. That's a back to back
Mm.
Gracian. Like,
Mm. Nice.
you're getting a shout out, Cat Ninja, and to Feline Style Ninjutsu. Uh, the Cat Ninja skills are kind of crazy.
Are they?
They can be. Oh, wow, we made it to the end. I mean, the reversal. I can't see a reversal as to why, like, be stoking jealousy and envy would be useful. Just doesn't seem like a good idea. Let's get into it.
Mm. Yeah, no, doesn't.
The reason, oh, the reason for being careful with the envious is that they are so indirect and will find innumerable ways to undermine you. But treading carefully around them will often only make their envy worse. Aha, now I see where this is going.
Mm.
They sense that you are being cautious, and it registers as yet another sign of your superiority. This is why you must act before envy takes root. Once envy is there, however, whether through your fault or no, it is sometimes best to affect the opposite approach. Display the utmost disdain for those who envy you. Hi, haters. It's me again. Yup, I'm still winning. Instead of hiding your perfection, make it obvious. Rub their fucking nose in it.
Mm.
Make every new triumph an opportunity to make the envious squirm. Your good fortune and power become their living hell. Shit all over them with it. If you're playing Call of Duty with them and you keep gunning them and they start raging, shoot their body and then
Teabag them.
teabag them. And then laugh. Call them an F slur in the global voice chat. uh, if you attain a position of unimpeachable power, Their envy will have no effect on you, and you will have the best revenge of all. They are trapped in envy while you are free in power. This is how Michelangelo triumphed over the venomous architect Bramante, who turned Pope Julius against Michelangelo's design for his tomb. Bramante envied Michelangelo's godlike skills, and to this one triumph, the aborted tomb project, he thought to add another by pushing the Pope to commission Michelangelo to paint the murals in the Sistine Chapel.
Mm.
The project would take years, during which Michelangelo would accomplish no more of his brilliant sculptures. Furthermore, Bramante considered Michelangelo not nearly as skilled in painting as in sculpture.
Mm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then look at
Hey,
what he did with the Sistine Chapel.
I was just about to ask chat. Has anybody here ever heard of the Sistine Chapel? Do you know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Hey, did you boop?
I did not boop. Did
Okay.
somebody?
Ah,
I did not boop. Did
okay,
you
look,
boop?
I booped. Boop, boop.
Yeah, they hate you because they ain't you. Oh my goodness, the Sistine Chapel. That oh, the chapel would spoil his image as the perfect artist. Oh, spoiler warning.
Mm.
Michelangelo saw the trap and wanted to turn down the commission, but he could not refuse the Pope, so he accepted it without complaint. Then, however, he used Bramante's envy to spur him to greater heights, making the Sistine Chapel his most perfect work of all. And it is a thing of sheer
Mm-hmm.
marvel even
It really
today.
is. Yeah.
Every time Bramante heard of it or saw it, he felt more oppressed by his own envy. The sweetest
Mm-hmm.
and most lasting revenge you can exact on the envious. Shove it right down their throat.
Mm.
Yeah, talk about pretty churches. The Sistine Chapel is probably one of the most beautiful churches on earth, if not the most
Mm-hmm.
beautiful on earth. That's why pretty much all of us have seen it. We've all seen pictures of it. If you've ever seen it live, you're truly blessed. But that is envy and why you should not inspire it. This is not where I expected this uh, chapter to go, but it was an interesting thought exercise, and just most of it's we get it. Like I think we get it. They
Mm.
sell coats of many colors out in front of the chapel. I don't know if this is true or not. This could just be juju propaganda. But it sounds like a
No.
beautiful piece of propaganda, and you should go find out. Bring back a coat
Mm-hmm.
of many colors for me if you'd be so bold. Ah, only two more laws left, Cat Ninja.
Yeah,
What did you
I
think of
know,
this
right?
one?
That's a good one. I enjoyed it.
You ever sparked
I
envy
did.
in somebody before?
Me? Mm, maybe.
That you're aware of, because sometimes this is very subtle and insidious.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I have.
Have you ever been jealous? Like, because I consider envy, like, even though envy's like the bad thing, like I consider envy and jealousy like totally
Very
different.
similar. Well, yeah,
I consider
okay.
envy the good one and jealousy the bad one.
That's the bad
Oh,
connotation.
well,
Yeah,
sorry to disappoint you, though.
what's that?
48's already scheduled. Well, Mousy said you should do 48 in
Ah,
Mousy's opinion,
mm,
but
no, that's spoken for.
48's already scheduled. It's already spoken for.
Hmm.
And if nobody has anything to be too envious or jealous about, hopefully Catnan is not too envious that Law 48 is already
Not in
been
this life.
scheduled.
No, not at all.
I need to
I'm
tell
very
you guys
grateful that
all
you had me
about.
here at all.
Say what?
I'm very grateful that you had me here at all. I'll take that
Well,
too.
I mean,
There's a good law.
it's a
Loads of
great
fun.
way to end it was to, like, I had my original co host come back and do 44, and that was absolutely like the spark. Mousy demanded 45.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And since I'm going to bring one outsiders, I'm going to get all the outsiders. So 47 coming up at noon on Friday, everybody. Don't go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. I will be having very special guest, OG outsider Juju will be joining me at noon on Friday to do the penultimate law.
Hell yeah.
And on Monday, as it began, so shall it end. Me and Divinity are going to do the 48th law next Monday. So I look forward to joining Jujubee and everybody on Friday at noon. If you can make it, please be here. Like, we are going, cause since we're almost at the end, we're going to go to the end that we aimed for and not past it.
Mm. Plan all the way to the end.
Yep.
It's almost as if you did.
It's almost as if Law 29 is coming back to haunt me in Law 47. But since we're almost at the end, what a more appropriate place than to get to our victory and stop there. Except we're probably not going to do that. More about that later, though.
Yeah.
So to the 5 still watching on the YouTube side, to the whole 12, shout out to Rumble Gang Gang, always on the kill.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun,
Yeah. No.
and
Thanks, though. Appreciate it.
you're welcome. Um,
And thanks everyone that showed up and showed the love. Um,
until
all the
Friday,
things. Yeah.
seatbelts and sidearms. It is getting crazy out there, so make sure you stay strapped or get clapped. Until then, I will see all of you in the wastelands. Darth Hideous, and who are you?
Cat Ninja.
Darth Hideous and Cat Ninja. Out.
Yeah.